welcome to the lecture on antebellum women and reform. And this lecture is going to specifically look at the cause of feminism and status of women during this period. For women, this concept known as the cult of domesticity was very strong in both England and the United States, arguing that women's places in the home or the domestic area, and in that person she is God. That's where she should be and be perfecting that home. And this was ingrained throughout the culture, and it came off that women, there's four things that a good woman should be. She should be in the home, domestic. She should be submissive to her husband or her father, and she should be pious, meaning very religious and pure, and by pure, sort of like a pure of heart kind of person. But that's it. That's your role in society. You can't not step outside of this. Now, for many women, might be quite comfortable, but there was a lot who felt very stifled by this and wanted to break out of this and take on a larger role. Now, how were men and women seen in society at this time? Women were seen as being weaker, more refined, more moral, and that Republican motherhood, they should be passing on these values to their kids, and she should be in the home. Men were seen as strong but crude and needing a good woman to sort of take care of them. And, if there are no women around, they might revert into, savage beasts. You can take your opinion on that, one way or the other. But this was in general the way that each side was seen. Now, the early feminists, and here we've got Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She's maybe the most important. Susan B. Anthony, Lucretia Mott, and Amelia Bloomer and the Grimke sisters. All of them were involved in other areas of reform. For example, the Grimke sisters. They were very concerned with slavery. That was their issue. They'd actually grown up with slaves. They each had, as a kid, they had their own slave, but they as they grew up and thought about it, they just saw it as morally disgusting and wanting to end the practice of slavery. Others, like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, also very involved in slavery. And there was a world anti-slavery meeting being held in London. And when Elizabeth Cady Stanton, she and her husband, they got on the boat and went all the way over to London to attend this conference on this issue that they're very concerned about. And when she got to the door, she was told, no women. And this infuriated her. And it got her to realize, we're trying to free the slaves, but we're not free ourselves. And until we can free ourselves, we're not going to be able to help others. And so, in some respects, this first women's rights movement was because they wanted to help others, and then realized, hey, we're in a tough position ourselves, and something needs to change about that. Other areas that they wanted to change, especially Bloomer, is if you notice her clothing, very loose clothing. Fashion at the time was very restrictive, and meaning the clothing was very tight and difficult to move around in, and Bloomer was promoting wearing loose-fitting clothing, and also as a way of just freeing yourself. Now, so they met early feminists to discuss their problems, and they met in upstate New York in 1848, and this is a very key time. And in fact, the 1848 is the date that the AP people have chosen as marking the end of the antebellum period because of this event. Like, this is the culmination of the reform movement. And they met and they put forward a document called the Declarations of Rights and Sentiments, modeled on the Declaration of Independence. When you read it, it's got very much the same language. And instead of, attacking all the things that the king has done to America, this one is attacking all the things that men have done to women, and a listing of all the ways that they're subordinate and would like to be involved in. So things like education, being denied, university education within the churches. That there are no female priests within the professions, lawyers, doctors. If I'm a young girl and I've got these aspirations, why can't I follow these ones? In marriage, being forced to being second class within your own marriage. As well. So they listed them all out, their complaints, and the one that they didn't include in was, that they're being denied the vote, and they decided not to push for that. Many disagreed and thought they should, but others argued that if they go for that, then it's all just going to become an issue on the vote. Can they have the right to vote? And thought, let's keep that off of it. It's not about the right to vote. It's everywhere else in society that they are being denied access to, and that's what they wanted to change. And the document certainly had an effect, not at the national levels per se, but certainly at the state level. Actions were done. For example, New York changed its marriage laws to give women, more equality within the marriage, and it's the first step. Definitely a first step of identifying all the problems and trying to effect change. And this early movement will be built upon by successive generations, especially in the 1910s, where the right to vote really went to a head, and it was achieved. And then again in another sort of women's rights movement, much more recently, 1960s, 1970s, that built off of the civil rights movement, which was looking for full equality within society, which still unfortunately hasn't been achieved fully, though where we are today is just so much better than where we were in the past. The reaction of some men to it, this idea that they want to completely reverse society roles, and a mocking of them. See, they're smoking there in public and wanting this, and other women looking at them with sort of a disdain. So the feminists, they're rebels, the radicals. The message that they're preaching is very different, and for that time, even a little extreme. Okay, thank you very much.